course. Wake the dead.
Wake the dead! Wake the dead!
With Sean McCann.
Greetings. Welcome to Wake the Dead. Today, I would like to check in with everyone and tell you all why I have not had any new shows posted on my channels for the past month. I got a new job, and I'm making infinitesimally more money, and it requires some more travel, and it requires a little bit more of my time, but I'm only working 4 days at 10 hours instead of 5 days at 8. So hopefully I will be able to have more of my attention put towards the work here at Wake the Dead. I have not stopped recording shows. If you have seen William Ramsey's channel or Hans Utter's channel or Julia Hobson's channel, or I've been recording many shows, so they have built up, and I have 9 that are edited and a 10th one which is recorded. So hopefully today I actually have a unexpected day off, so I'm going to sit down and do some work here. I'm going to post those 9 shows, hopefully, and edit and post the 10th, if I can. And this one as well. This is kind of an added bonus. It's not really a normal conversation. So, moving on. I have today, I have this essay by Crispin Glover, and I would like to read that for you today. Okay, so here, let me open it up on my end so that I can read. Okay. This is titled, "What Is It?" by Crispin Hellion Glover. Is this culture content? Is it happy? Are the smiles broadcast by this culture's media the smiles that reflect the collective mind? Does the self-professed compassion of the media for the unfortunate seem sincere? Is this culture a Judeo-Christian culture? Is forgiveness a quality of Christian ethos? Didn't Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold of Columbine High School pose with a caption that stated, "Stay alive, stay different, stay crazy"? Didn't they target Christians? Weren't they accused of being Nazis? Wasn't one of them Jewish? Wasn't one of them an honor student? If these fellows were staying crazy and staying different and thinking on their own, were they perhaps manifesting a countercultural ideal? What else in this culture were the Columbine killers attacking? Aren't jocks, whom they killed, generally considered common good guys by our culture? Don't jocks represent pro-cultural values? Do those who hold values that counter the culture see jocks as boorish, vapid, brute, conceited, and condescending, who willfully insult and violate those who refuse to gang with the masses? Were Harris and Klebold reacting to the media itself? Did they give their own lives and take others to make a point about the media at large? Can it be true that the media at large is so neurotic that it is unable to truthfully describe the Columbine event? Is it true that a videotape they produced just before the killings is now being withheld so the public cannot determine their own thoughts about Harris's and Klebold's statements? In Civilization and Its Discontents, did Sigmund Freud define a neurotic as an individual holding thoughts that clash with those held by the prevailing culture, an individual who subverts those clashing thoughts to the subconscious that later manifest in the form of anxiety and unnecessary behavior? If this is so, what does one consider a culture whose prevailing ideals or ideas express hypocrisy, sham, and double standard? Does this somehow define a neurotic culture? Does Steven Spielberg hold the same values I wish upon myself? Does the mind of this grinning, bespectacled, baseball-capped man entirely reflect this culture? Is it true that in his waning years, Orson Welles asked Steven Spielberg for a small amount of money with which he could make a final film? Is it true Steven Spielberg refused? Is it true that Steven Spielberg bought a sled used in Citizen Kane for an extremely large sum of money? Do Steven Spielberg's passions burn? Do passions burn in the man now imprisoned who wishes to anally rape Steven Spielberg? Do our cultural mouthpieces confidently inform us that the wish to anally rape Steven Spielberg is a bad thought? Could anal rape of Steven Spielberg be simply the manifestation of a cultural mandate? Do you believe Steven Spielberg is an ideal guide to influence for our culture? Do Steven Spielberg's films question our culture? What do Steven Spielberg's films question? Does Steven Spielberg focus much of his fantasy life on young people? Did he portray children wallowing in sewers filled with fecal matter in Schindler's List? Did he use children to finger paint an adult in Hook? Does he collect the illustrations of Norman Rockwell, such as the one showing a young boy in his underwear examined by a doctor? Are the inclinations of Steven Spielberg above suspicion by the media-fed culture? Was Steven Spielberg very friendly with Michael Jackson? Wasn't Michael Jackson supposed to play Peter Pan in Steven Spielberg's version of the story? Now that Michael Jackson is no longer held in favor by the media, does Spielberg associate with him? Do Michael Jackson and Steven Spielberg share similar opinions about the sexuality of young boys? Did Joseph Goebbels popularize certain ideals to the mass culture? Does Steven Spielberg attempt to do the same thing? Is celebrity more special than actual truth in art? When you join in a conversation with strangers, do you openly discuss any idea whatsoever without fear of conflict? Or do you restrain yourself from discussing certain things for fear of offending people and then becoming an outcast? Are there laws that deem certain forms of thought as bad and wrong? Is what is now termed hate a form of thought? Does our culture consider it acceptable to have a minstrel represent a black person on film? Does our culture consider it acceptable to have a person of average intelligence represent a retarded person on film? Why is one thing questionable and one thing acceptable? Did Adolf Hitler entertain any good thoughts? Was Shirley Temple sexy as a young girl? What if you wish to express these ideas? Can people sue you for expressing ideas, particularly if they're blamed for inspiring behavior considered antithetical to cultural norms? What would the cultural mainstream ever silence or suppress Steven Spielberg? Has the United States government given the immensely wealthy Steven Spielberg millions of dollars to fund a media project that reflects his religious heritage and his cultural beliefs? Does the Talmud speak of superiority of the Jews and the inferiority of other cultures and beliefs? Does Steven Spielberg reflect this religious imperative? Is Steven Spielberg neurotic? Is this belief hidden and suppressed? That's a few questions for you all to answer in your own mind, on your own time. Thank you very much for listening to Wake the Dead, and we will see you. You will see another 9 episodes posted today. Hopefully, if I can get them all done. Thank you all for listening, and please, if you can, please think to donate. Transitioning to the new job has been kind of tough, and I work on a very thin thread of money, and it would be great if I could have a little bit of help for my family, please. And thank you. There is a donate button on onegreatworknetwork.com/Sean-McCann. Thank you already. If you are already thinking of doing so, I appreciate you. And thank you, listeners, for listening. And thank you for clicking after it's been a month of nothing. I appreciate you. And we will see you next time.